flowers?
On the sofa there.
I wasn't allowed to finish, sir. About Mr. Blake. He didn't only hear the hound.
Oh?
He saw it.
When?
Last night, sir.
How did he describe it?
More like a great, dark shape than anything else. Moving so fast, Mr. Blake feared for his own life.
But if it were only a great dark shape, how could he be sure of what he saw?
Because its eyes were fiery red, and it was breathing flame. Do you believe him, Dr. Watson?
Yes, Perkins. I'm sorry to say I do.
Why, sir?
Because I myself got a glimpse of what he saw. Last night, on the moor.
The hound of the Baskervilles?
No, Perkins. A hound of hell.
Good evening to you, Sir Hugo.
Dr. Watson, are you back? Dr. Watson, what's happened to the lights?
I'll put them up at once, Sir Henry.
So it's you, Barrymore.
Yes, sir.
What were you doing here in the dark?
The dark.
You have an annoying habit of repeating things.
The truth is, Sir Henry, I fell asleep.
That's most unlike you.
I suffer from headaches, sir. I felt a bit faint. I thought if I rested my eyes for a bit, I'd feel better. When I awoke, the dark had settled in.
You say so. I was looking for the weekly journal.
My wife has it, Sir Henry. It came with yesterday's post.
I would like to see it.
At once, Sir Henry.
Who's there? Who is it? Dr. Watson, are you out there?
Here's a weekly.
Ah!
Sir Henry, there's no need to jump at me.
Oh, it's you, Perkins.
I thought you might like some warm milk, so I brought you a pitcher and a mug.
That was thoughtful. How is it you're still here?
The mist rolled in too fast for me. I never cross the moor on nights like this. I sleep in this small room at the far end of the west wing.
Have you done that recently?
Sir?
Have you stayed over in the last few weeks?
Once.
I wonder, Perkins, did you hear anyone crying?
Crying? I don't think so. I'm a sound sleeper. Of course, at that end of the house, one might as well be in a tomb. The walls are that thick.
Tomb is exactly what this place feels like at times.
Would you like me to light the fire, sir?
I'll take care of it.
Very good, Sir Henry.
It's a miserable night out.
Did you walk back from the village?
I did?
I hope you carried a torch, Dr. Watson.
Certainly not. I have excellent night sight. Comes to eating carrots. Is it tired, Perkins?
Can't abide carrots, Dr. Watson. I don't like the sound of the crunch.
These villagers are everything Captain Stapleton said they were. Imagine not liking the sound of a carrot's crunch. Silly creature.
What news from Holmes?
Positively infuriating.
How so?
Every time I'm in London, I just get Mrs. Hudson.
Surely he's back in London by now.
Let's hope so. I don't hear from him tomorrow. I think a brief holiday would do us both some good.
You mean a trip to London?
You have to come with me. I couldn't leave you here alone.
I appreciate everything you're doing, but I'm not ready for a London outing. Whatever it is that's terrifying Baskerville Hall, I intend to stick it out.
In that case, I'll remain here also.
Did you see anyone on your way back?
When?
When you were walking back from the village?
Can't see a thing. The mist in the moors is better than guilt. Imagine why Lady Agatha favors the place.
It's been like Kathy and her brother, really. They lost everything in bad investments a few years back.
I didn't know that. And yet, I feel that she's the sort that belongs out of the big city. I never felt she was comfortable with the rush.
Warm milk. Don't suppose you'd care for a mug?
Milk? No, no. Why did you ask what you did? If I'd seen anyone outside the house.
I heard something at the French doors. They were open.
They're closed now.
I closed them.
Was there anyone else in the room?
Barrymore was in here just before I came downstairs. In the dark. Said he fell asleep.
He's an odd one.
I'm inclined to agree with you. I don't know what he was doing down here, but I certainly don't believe he was sleeping.
He's evasive with my questions, yet Barrymores and Lady Agatha were the only witnesses that night your poor uncle met his death. It's clear to me that so long as none of the family are at Baskerville Hall, Barrymore has a mighty fine home, and nothing to do. No need to eavesdrop in the shadows, Barrymore. Come out where we can see you.
Mrs. Barrymore, do you make a habit of listening in on other people's conversations?
No, Sir Henry, I do not.
Would you care to explain your extraordinary behavior?
You're thinking ill of my husband.
What if we are?
He's a loyal retainer, as I am. He would never do anything to harm you in any way, Sir Henry.
There's cold comfort in that. What have you there?
I should have spoken out before, but it was long after the inquest I found it. I've never breathed a word about it to anyone, not even to my husband. I wonder, may I sit down for a moment? I'm not feeling at my best.
Certainly.
I know why Sir Charles was on the moor.
Well,
He was to meet a woman.
I don't believe it.
The letter arrived the morning of your uncle's death from the village of Tracy Coombe.
How long have you known this piece of paper existed?
Only a few weeks ago, I was cleaning out Sir Charles' study. It hadn't been touched since his death, and I found the ashes of a burnt letter in the back of the grate. Most of it was charred to pieces, but that one little slip, the end of the page, hung together.
Please please, as you are a gentleman, burn this letter and be by the gate on the moor at 10 o'clock.
How can you be sure this is the same letter that arrived that morning?
Well, there was a silver trim on the bottom of the envelope. The same trim is on the bottom of the notepaper that Dr. Watson holds.
What was the woman's name?
No name.
Only the initials L.L.
I can't understand why you'd want to conceal this information.
Well, we were both of us very devoted to Sir Charles, as well might be considering all that he'd done for us. For us to rake this up couldn't have helped our poor master. And it's well to go about carefully when there is a lady in the case.
In other words, you thought this communication would somehow compromise Sir Charles's reputation.
I hope I've done the right thing at last.
You have.
If you have no further questions.
Later, perhaps.
What is it?
I was just thinking how the evil legacy of Sir Hugo hangs on. It would have been better if he had never been born.
Little late to worry about that. What do you make of this, L.L.?
Laura Lyons.
Old Franklin's daughter, of course.
Look, there's someone out there.
Outside the house?
Yes.
No need for that, Sir Henry. I have a revolver.
No need for weaponry, gentlemen. Your intruder is an ally.
Bones!
We thought you were in London.
Which is exactly what I wanted you to think. I think you'd be more comfortable seated, Watson. I'd appreciate it if you'd point that revolver in another direction.
Well, I was never more glad to see anyone in my life.
Where have you been?
On the moor.
Since when?
Since the day Lady Agatha invited us for tea.
Then you've never left?
That is correct.
You might have trusted me to keep your confidence.
My dear fellow, you have been invaluable to me in this as in many other cases. But in your kindness you might have brought me out some comfort or other, and an unnecessary risk would be run.
You underestimate me, Holmes.
Never. I know, my dear Watson, you share my love for all that is bizarre and outside the conventions and humdrum everyday life. I trust you've kept notes, jotted everything down.
I have.
Splendid.
I still don't see the need for your reception.
Had I remained with you and Sir Henry, my point of view would have been the same as yours. My presence would have warned the menace to be on its guard. In one skies or another, I have moved about freely.
Well, what did you learn on the moor?
Considerable.
That doesn't tell us much.
What's after me? Human or supernatural? Flesh and blood or the devil?
For the time being, I'm afraid I'll have to hold that question in abeyance.
Why do you avoid answering me?
In a modest way, I have combated evil. But to take on the father of evil himself would perhaps be too ambitious a task. Now, Sir Henry, did you see anyone in this room earlier, in the dark?
Yes.
Who?
Barrymore.
You mean Mrs. Barrymore, don't you?
No, it was Barrymore.
Sir Henry, have you been conscious of a presence somewhere in the house from time to time?
I have.
This place has an eerie quality about it. Perfectly natural reaction.
I think I can prove you wrong, Watson. Did Barrymore have a flashlight with him?
I'm sure he didn't.
Did you disturb him when you entered?
I think I did.
Ah, the desk, the perfect hiding place for the unimaginative mind. Take another one.
I know the contents of that desk, Mr. Holmes. There's no flashlight there.
It is a capital mistake, Sir Henry, to theorize before you have all the evidence. Eureka!
So Barrymore had a flashlight. What does that signify?
I expected better of you, Watson. Think, man.
You mean he was searching for something? In this room, in the dark. He didn't want to be discovered.
No, Sir Henry. What Barrymore was after was not in this room. It was out there. on the moor. Watson, lights. Come closer, Henry. I shall now demonstrate that my time on the moor was put to good use. Keep your eyes focused on the near clump of rocks.
How can we? The mist has blocked out everything.
Not quite.
What are you doing?
I should think that's fairly obvious.
You're signaling someone.
Who? That is only one part of the puzzle.
Look, there's a light out there.
For answering your signal, Holmes.
No, Watson. Not my sin.
I've had enough of it. Who or whatever is out there means to do me harm, and I intend to put a stop to it.
Mr. Henry, that is precisely what they wish you to do. Remember my warning. You must not venture onto the moor at night.
What's out there, Mr. Holmes? You know, don't you?
There is more evil surrounding Baskerville Hall than I've ever encountered before.
Listen.
Can't be.
I fear it is. The horror that killed Sir Charles. He is prowling the moor. Once again.